Let's talk some Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts have a new QB1 as on Monday, a day after the Colts' 19-10 loss to the Tennessee Titans, putting their AFC South chances on life support. I would also just probably say effectively ending their chances to win the AFC South. Frank Reich named Sam Ehlinger the quarterback versus the Washington Commanders for this Sunday. Matt Ryan is out with a shoulder injury, though Reich said that Ehlinger will start even when Ryan is healthy. So some big news as far as the Indianapolis Colts go. And, I will say this. I think it's a bit forced because of how the season has worked out so far, but it is nice to see some accountability being had in the Colts organization. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I don't mind losing as long as there's a plan, and it's nice to see Indy finally admit things that things aren't fine and dandy. Like we're not still on the right path. We're not still right there on the cusp of where we think we should be. Actually, yeah, we do have some problems. We need to address those problems. It is nice to see that finally being addressed in the Colts organizations. I do hate it for Matt Ryan. I do like him. I was a fan of his when he played at Boston College. That was years, one of the craziest years, back when the BCS was crazy and you had Boston College as like the number 2 team in the country for a little bit. So they lost to Florida State and all that went out the window. But
That was the year West Virginia almost made it to the BCS championship until they lost a bit,
yeah,
in the last week.
honestly, I forgot that Pat McAfee was like basically the reason why they lost until he addressed it right before Pitt and West Virginia played this past season. But yeah, I get there are issues with the weapons in the offensive line, but Ryan with all the sacks, all the turnovers is just as you can say all you want about the offensive line and weapons. Can't have that many turnovers. You can't have that many sacks. You can't have all these miscues.
He was rated out of the 34 QBs that have played this year. He's rated like 31. Yeah. And there's only 32 teams. So 32 teams in the NFL and he's rated 31.
Yeah.
It's tough because you saw what he is capable of against the Jacksonville Jaguars and leading that comeback where he had no turnovers in the game. And it was like, okay, maybe we found something. But then to come out and just completely lay an egg. Yes, I know he has a separated shoulder now. But like Frank Reich said, regardless of the injury, the change was going to be made. So I think it's a good move. I don't know.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think you'd like to believe that Ryan's production was going to eventually improve, but there's just no more time to wait. And Ehlinger has shown a lot of potential in the preseason, so I'm excited. If we were going to Ehlinger kind of like sight unseen was kind of because I remember when Jacob Eason was still, we thought maybe it was Eason's season for the Indianapolis Colts. We were even saying, I know there was a couple preseason games where we were like, actually, I think I'd rather see Ehlinger more than I'd like to see Eason as the starting quarterback. So I think, I know there are some people that think that this move means the Colts season is effectively done. I honestly don't believe that because that's how much that's how much potential I see in Sam Ehlinger. So it was the right move. You can't wait anymore because I think this was. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The Colts needed to win these next 2 games, or else there was going to be changes. And yes, at the time we were talking about much larger changes with potentially seeing the end of Ballard and Reich early. But I think that, Matt Ryan was brought in to help the Colts, take that next step, win the AFC South, make the postseason. Now that the AFC South is pretty much out the window and the playoffs are on life support, I think this is the perfect time to make that change. All right, you know what, Matt? You were brought in to do a thing. You didn't do the thing, so now we got to make changes. So I like the move, and I really think the Colts have potential in Sam Ehlinger.
Yeah, I do too. I have seen a lot of people say this is like the Colts essentially waving the white flag. I don't think that's the case fully because there is still a chance Sam Ehlinger comes in and performs the way we've seen him perform in the preseason. And the Colts go on a miniature run and get themselves into the wild card hunt. it's still possible for that to happen. And I've also seen people say by starting Sam Ehlinger, it's basically Chris Ballard and Frank Reich saying we have failed. Again, I don't know if I can't buy into that 100% either, because look, they were both really high on Ehlinger. They chose to draft him. He kind of fits more into the mold of what you want at a quarterback now. Oh, but he's short. Yeah, well, so is Russell Wilson, and that's not a good example anymore. And Drew Brees. I mean,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, Case Keenum, but the fact that he's mobile. I think it's going to bring an added dimension to the Colts a little bit. Yes, the offensive line isn't all of a sudden going to get better, but you don't have a statue standing back there anymore. You have somebody that pocket breaks down, he can extend the play with his legs, allow some of these receivers to get open a little bit more. And because of that, it's going to have to cause the secondary to respect the ability for him to run. They're gonna have to keep an eye on that, which is when you have that, you end up having a QB spy. So then you end up having somebody that is not dropping back, somebody else that's not dropping back into coverage too much. So it has the potential to jumpstart this team, which I think is the right move. But it also helps the Colts that let's say it doesn't, or if it doesn't work, okay, now we know Sam Ehlinger is not the option. Sam Ehlinger is not the guy moving forward. Where the Colts are at right now is they need to see, are we going after a QB in the draft? Are we going to have a high draft pick, a low draft pick? Where, how is this going to unfold? It kind of gives them a better sense of what their future could look like and which direction they need to go. If Sam Ehlinger comes out and plays lights out and revitalizes this team, gets them going, then it's like, okay, we actually have our guy now. This is our guy. He's a young guy. I mean, his cap hit is only like 927,000, I think, next year, give or take $20,000. But it's like, okay, that's a great piece to build around if it works out. If it doesn't, then yeah, okay, we need to look for a quarterback, whether that is free agency, not the option, in my opinion. Honestly, the Indy Star put out an article the other day, or just recently, on the QB options that are going to be out there this next offseason. And unless the Colts are in a position to draft CJ Stroud or even Bryce Young, I'm not as high on Bryce Young as I am CJ Stroud. It's not a great outlook for the quarterbacks. I mean, they're like, well, Geno Smith could be available and he's really turned it around, or Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a free agent. And I'm like, does that really help to either one of those guys fix the problem? I don't think so. Tom Brady's going to be available. Oh, come on. Stop.
Maybe 2 years ago that would have been exciting, but
yeah. But I think it's the right move, because if the season if it goes south with Ehlinger at QB1, okay, we know our plan. If it takes off, okay, now we don't need to spend that first round pick on a quarterback or trying to get into a position to get a good quarterback. We can fill the other holes that we have on this team. So it's a good move. If they came out and said Nick Foles is now QB1, that's waving the white flag.
Yeah.
That's saying we have no idea what we're doing. We're on our way out. We're going to crash the plane on the way down.
Yeah.
Essentially. By going with Ehlinger, it says it does. It's the right move. Because it does help them answer questions that they may have.
Well, and I mean,
I like it.
Yeah.
I was high on Ehlinger coming out of Texas as well. He's one of those guys, he knows how to win. Is he going to light up the stat sheet like a Peyton Manning? Look, I've gone down this road several times, and this is a hill I am willing to die on for a lot of quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks get passed over in this league because they don't put up the Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Drew Brees-esque numbers. They don't. but some guys have this ability. Yeah, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning had that ability to also will their team to victory. But that's one thing. It's hard to come across those types of guys year in and year out in the draft. If you really want to be a good, solid team, you need to find yourself a quarterback, in my opinion. Yeah, if you have the ability to get a generational talent, you go for it. But if not, you need to find a guy that knows how to just play winning football.
Well, I mean, you're seeing
And
it with the Giants with Daniel Jones. I mean, I think
that's kind of surprising though,
yeah,
because they were ready to cut him.
Well, right, but I'm just saying that, like,
I think, yeah,
you know, well,
but like the Tim Tebow thing.
Yeah,
everybody's like, oh, he had a funky throwing motion. It's like, no, I think people didn't like him anymore because the media circus that followed him, because I don't know why the media just loved to hate on him, but yet they just loved to follow him, and nobody wanted that circus. But the thing was, Tebow knew how to win, and that's an ability that's just overlooked because, oh, he's not putting up Pro Bowl numbers. Who cares? If my quarterback goes out there and puts up just average numbers, but the win-loss total is really good, we're in the playoffs and we're advancing in the playoffs, that's what I want to see. I don't care if he's out there throwing single season records for touchdowns. That's the hill I'm willing to die on, and I feel like Ehlinger has that potential. Is he going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback? I don't think so. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? No, he's not. But is he going to be a quarterback that can get your team victories, win you games, advance you through the playoffs? I believe he can.
Yeah. Well, and you touched on, what might happen the rest of the season. I mean, I do think there are 5 games that are winnable for the Colts the rest of the way. We talked about the Commanders. I think the Patriots, especially after what they did against the Bears on Monday night, I think that's a winnable game. The Raiders are in a funk. The Steelers are in a funk. The Chargers, who knows what Chargers team you're going to get. The Texans, I think it's a winnable game. Although all these teams that I mentioned are very hot and cold.
Can't say the Texans is a winnable game.
Well, I'm just saying that
we did. Well, I will say it is winnable because we would have beaten them had we had a better kicker at the time.
Yeah, exactly. If they win all of those games, that would put them at 8-1. If they can snag a win away from the Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys, or Giants, then they might be able to still snag a wild card spot. Although that means a likely one and done in the playoffs with either the Bills or the Chiefs on the road. A playoff
Which
run,
is fine,
right? A playoff run is obviously the best case scenario at the moment, but I think Ehlinger's success or failure, like you mentioned, does drive the future of this organization at the moment, because if the Colts can rally, I think Reich and Ehlinger at least are back. If the Colts fall apart, I think all 3 are gone, Reich, Ballard, and Ehlinger, and which is, this is almost coming at the perfect time, because then, as these if all 3 are out, then you'll have a new GM that will be able to pick, his new coach and quarterback. As far as the future, at quarterback and the future of the franchise. Now, I will say this: you said there's no really other, quarterbacks that you would want outside of C.J. Stroud, and Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
I've heard.
Ooh, Hendon Hooker. I forgot about Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's completely spaced on that one.
Right now, he is ranked by Pro Football Focus as the 49th overall prospect, and obviously that would mean the Colts would pick somewhere in there.
Right now, the Heisman favorite.
Right, and I think the Colts would be a good landing spot. I'm just saying. Now, I've also seen people high on like Will Levis or Levi's.
I'm not.
Yeah,
stop.
Out of Kentucky.
Will Levis.
Yeah.
Stop. Just no.
But
this is the guy that was looked pedestrian again. It looked horrible against Ole Miss.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Hendon Hooker, I think would be
completely spaced on him.
I would love to see that happen. So I think this is all kind of happening at the right time, because the entire the guys at the top of the organization, Irsay especially, is kind of reevaluating. And this could be a opportunity if things were to go south with Ehlinger to be like, all right, we're wiping the slate clean. We're bringing in a new, because that's always the messy thing. Because when you hire a new coach, but not a new GM, or vice versa, or have like a quarterback already in place, like that new coach is like, or new GM or whatever is like, oh, it's not my guy. I kind of want to bring in my guy. If you have a chance to bring in all three at the same time, I think that's the right moment to do it.
All right, so hear me out here. This kind of just feels like there's something that this could really take off.
I'm with you.
This is like the MO of our show here. Let's just follow me. So the Colts were pretty bad in the mid 90s. Would you agree?
Yes.
Early mid 90s. Then out of nowhere, this unknown quarterback wearing number 4 infused some life into the Colts for a little bit. Got them through until the Colts screwjacked around and lost him, which ultimately ended up leading to a generational talent with the last name of Manning.
A quarterback from the University of Tennessee, where Hendon Hooker plays.
No, listen, hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh,
Sam
Ehlinger. I know where you're going. Yeah.
Sam Ehlinger wears number 4. Sam Ehlinger can be serviceable for a couple years before the Colts screwjack around and screw it up, landing the Colts in a position to draft another once-in-a-generation potential talent from Texas, the University of Texas, with the last name of Manning.
Yeah, I like that.
But with the potential of having a wide receiver on the roster already with the last name of Harrison.
That dude, if that happens,
I mean, it could happen. It could happen. But I mean, when I see Sam Ehlinger donning that number 4, I'm like, I get flashbacks of Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Coming out there, the comeback kid. I mean, it just, I don't know, like a comeback on the season, led by number 4 at quarterback. It just seems a little too
perfect.
But it's also that type of like rabbit hole that this show goes down.
Yeah,
and goes.
Usually that's me, so I'm very impressed by.
Yeah, you're the one making those correlations, not me.
Yeah.
But I'm usually let's not go down that hole because that's unrealistic. But it's a legit Sam Ehlinger could be the stopgap for a while. Just go through a couple bad seasons, and all of a sudden, bam, we have Manning at quarterback again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very real possibility. I mean, then
because you can also still get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, and
Jr.
Hey, here in a few years, you can get T.Y. Hilton's kid out of Zionsville. You can get.
He's got to go to Purdue first,
right?
He's got to accept that Purdue scholarship.
Isn't Vinatieri's kid going to Ball State, or where's he going?
I thought he went to UMass.
Maybe he did, but
he's a tight end though.
I thought Vinatieri's kid is a kicker.
Maybe he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we could just have the second generation of all the Colts we love to watch growing up. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That's the thing. Like, I could see Irsay pushing for that type of stuff too, because he's like a sentimental type owner.
That is true. Before we get out of here, I do want to make a bold prediction, for this Sunday, because I think you and I are both on the same page. We both think that this is the right move. We both think that this could be a winning move for the Colts. This isn't a punt by any stretch of the imagination. We could be wrong. We could be back here talking about how the Colts went 3-13-1. You never know.
But hey, like I said, it helps the Colts figure out which direction they go in the offseason.
Yeah,
that's why I think it. That's why I like the move. I don't think it's a punt, but at the same time, I think it also helps them figure out their roadmap.
Yeah. So a bold prediction for this Sunday, where Ehlinger will make his first start against the Commanders. I think Ehlinger throws 3 touchdown passes, and it's a Colts win. There have been 7 games during the Colts rent-a-quarterback era where the quarterback has thrown 3 touchdown passes. 6 of those 7 have come at Lucas Oil Stadium, where the game is going to be played this Sunday. The stadium is going to be rowdy. They'll be behind Ehlinger. I mean, see the kind of reception that Bailey Zappi got when he came in for Mac Jones on Monday Night Football. I think it's going to be that kind of reaction for Ehlinger, especially if he does well really quickly. I think the stadium will be absolutely all in full force on Sam Ehlinger. And I think the kid feeds on that. And I think the Ehlinger era gets off to a crazy start. So I think Ehlinger has a big game. Because, I mean, it's kind of fitting. We see this happen a few times in sports where there's that crazy thing that happens. And, yeah, sure, it may, not be anything and just be kind of a fluke game, or it could be the start of something great. So I think that it's going to be just an incredible electric start to the Sam Ehlinger era.
I agree. I think I'm going to go one step further. I think he also, I wish Carson Wentz was playing in this game for more reasons than one. But I'm going to add another tidbit to the Ehlinger prediction. I think he breaks a touchdown run of greater than 50 yards. How many times did he do that in the preseason? Like 2 or 3 times? I mean, yeah, it's different in the preseason, but we're still talking about the Washington Commanders here. Yeah. So, yeah, I think if he breaks one for more than 20 or 30 yards, the roof of Lucas Oil Stadium will blow off. So, Jim Irsay, you better open the roof up on Sunday because, I don't know, actually keep it closed. That makes it even better.
Yeah, the crowd noise. Be that much better.
Yeah, I could see this being like, I was like, oh, it'd be a fun game to go to, and because the Colts are, people think the Colts are waving the white flag and the Commanders no longer have Wentz starting, tickets are going to be uber cheap. Fans are excited about the Ehlinger era beginning, and tickets are really expensive for this game and going fast, according to StubHub. They said, get your tickets quick because this one's going away quickly. So fans are excited. They wanted to see some change. They got it. Here we go.
Finally.